Kroger presents Signing Day Spotlight, a video series profiling some of the top players in Georgia's 2021 recruiting class. And now, here are your hosts, DawgNation's Jeff Sintel and former UGA All-American Jon Stinchcomb.
Welcome in, DawgNation. We got another war room here. We got Jon Stinchcomb hunkered down, bunkered down in his private war room study. He's went through the film back and forth, and I want to talk to you about a guy. I'm going to belabor all those rankings. I'm going to talk about a football player from North Carolina. He was committed to Sam Pittman. There was the breakup. He came back and jumped in the boat with Matt Luke because Georgia never stopped recruiting him, and you can see why on this film. Jon, the first time I talked to his head coach, he was sounding like Jerry Clower, as happy as he was having him on his team. He said, man, he's got rabbit feet. When he runs, it looks like he's running on butter. He's running on pillows. This joker can move. When Stinch frames him up, presses play on the board, what immediately jumps out to you about Jared Wilson?
Here's what I like most about him is he's a football player. You can tell he gets it. He's not lost in space. We talk about these offensive linemen wanting to finish each block. Jared Wilson is one of those guys. You turn on the film, and more times than not, that defender ends up on the ground. He doesn't mind tossing somebody to the ground, but he's in good shape every time he's engaged in a block. He plays physical and he plays smart. What more do you look for in an offensive lineman? Now, footwork-wise, technique-wise, he's one of the better players. The competition you see that they're facing is probably not elite. It doesn't matter. He puts himself in a position to win almost every play. He plays with his head up. He's watching. You can watch his helmet. He's aware of that second level, those linebackers as they shift. He's picking up on things. He's not caught out of position very often. He's just he's a ball player.
When you watch him, Jon, for me, you see him and he's really impressive on the film. But if you ever get a one-to-one with him and get the chance to talk to him, I mean, he comes out of the Stinchcomb Speaking Academy. I think that guy, he can talk football. He's intelligent. He sounds like a coach. He sounds like a guy that's going to be a future business owner. Just really gets it. And he could have enrolled early. This is an interesting story. He could have enrolled early, but the pandemic, it shuts down all football in North Carolina for the fall. Their season is in the spring, and he decided to stay and have a senior football season in North Carolina, not because of the normal stuff, not because it's one last season with your brothers, go get a ring, one last ride, have your senior day, have your homecoming game. There's a little extra to him right there. He's got a younger brother that will be a freshman on the varsity this year, and he saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime time to play on the same team in a big environment with his flesh and blood, with one of his tight brothers. The Wilsons are a very tight athletic family. And Jon, when you hear something like this off the field, combined with what you see is just pure football gold on film, what comes to your mind? What goes to your mind when you hear about a kid like that?
Well, it resonates with me. I had the experience and the good fortune of playing one last season in high school, my brother's last season in high school, and also his senior year at Georgia. And that time is invaluable. You'll never get an opportunity like that again. And for him to have the awareness to recognize how unique of an opportunity it is, not only for him, but for his younger brother. I'm the younger brother. I tell you what, it means the world to him to have that. And quite honestly, in the day and age that we see college football, where guys are putting selfish ambitions and the grand dollar that is dangling in front of them as the one sole and primary goal, for a guy to say, there's more to it. There's more in my picture. There's more in my scope that I can value. I want to fill my team with guys like Jared Wilson that understand a little sacrifice doesn't hurt and probably is for the best. And being willing to make those decisions, man, it speaks volumes to me. And I was a fan of Jared Wilson. When you turn on the tape and you hear stories like that, and it cements in my mind, you can't have enough Jared Wilsons on your roster.
Stinch, one last thing about him, man, is I want you to think about this. All those great stuff you and I see on film about Jared, you got to remember, that was 2019 junior year film. He's got another gear in high school football that we haven't seen yet. And we're gushing about the young man right now, but we really haven't seen his best or even a really good reflection of what he'll bring to Georgia. Stinch, I want to ask you really quickly about Jared. If I gave you 2 words, the immediate 2 words that came to mind when you watched him on film, what do you think those would be?
Well, it's a term. I'm going to start with football player. He's got the awareness. You see it. I mean, you match that with his athletic ability and his just frame. The guy's a football player, which I think is one of the best compliments you can give a player with his ability. Because quite honestly, you will go through these lists of players, and there's a number of guys that you're going to say he's an athlete. He moves well. He's got good feet, which is probably the case for everybody on the list of commitments that Georgia recruits and signs on an annual basis. But at the end of the day, you got to be a football player. You got to get out there and be able to put those skills and that frame and the ability to run and impress people in your shorts running a 40 or on a bench press with 225 on the bar. You got to be able to carry that over to the football field. And Jared Wilson, you turn on the tape, and like you said, it's his junior year film, which, most of these guys, you see a distinct step up in play later when we're talking about defensive line. Marlon Dean is a guy who year to year, you see improvement from his play. I would expect the same thing from Jared Wilson. He's a guy that, his junior year is impressive. I look forward to seeing what he does in senior year ball, just because of the maturity and maturation of a 17-year-old's body as you continue to build muscle and hone your skills. Man, it's sky's the limit for a kid like that.
There you have it, DawgNation. Some people turn to Huddle. Some people turn to Google. We turn to Stinch when we want to know about a future great Bulldog offensive lineman. Hope you enjoyed it. Some good stuff right there. We're in the war room on DawgNation.com.
Thanks for joining us. For more info on UGA recruiting, check out DawgNation.com. And a special thanks to our sponsor, Kroger, fresh for everyone.